the audacity that you have to stand up there and say you investigate with vigor and investigate with everything that you have to make sure that the people in Valley City are protected is bull.
A heated discussion at a Valley City Police press conference has citizens concerned that police aren't doing enough investigating about a former officer. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Valley City Police Chief Fred Thompson said former Lieutenant David Swenson was accused of having sex with a woman in the evidence room and also in a squad car. Swenson, who was under a second internal investigation, retired a day after that woman made a formal rented complaint. Swenson later refused to participate in the investigation. The woman also stopped cooperating with police. Chief Thompson said since both people didn't cooperate, the allegations couldn't be proved or disproved. A citizen who made a previous complaint against Lieutenant Swenson says he's upset with the outcome.
I gave you sheriffs. I said 3 sheriffs. You chose not to go ask them. That is not investigating. That is just saying, I'm not concerned about what Mr. Drake says.
If you have an allegation against one of my officers or one of my personnel or any member of the police department, come talk to me. Tell me what you know. Show me what you have. We will take the proper action.
Thompson added that his biggest concern was if any evidence was tampered with, but an inspection was done and police didn't find any issues. We'll have community reaction tonight on Valley News Live 9 and 10. We have some new information for you now. The University of North Dakota has completed its investigation into 2 incidents involving racially charged photos that were recently shared on social media. The Office of Student Rights and Responsibilities took over the investigation. That was after UND police closed the case with no criminal charges. After full review of each situation, OSRR determined neither incident violated the UND Code of the Student Life, citing the student's right to free speech. The investigation is now considered closed. To read the full statement from President Kennedy or read other stories relating to the photos, click on the links attached to this story. A 24-year-old Grand Forks man is the latest to face charges in a string of domestic violence cases around the region. Nathaniel Nichols faces a felony charge of aggravated assault. Nichols allegedly caused bodily injury to his girlfriend while strangling her. If he's convicted, Nichols faces a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison. And you may have noticed we've been reporting on a spike in the number of domestic violence cases lately. Experts say it's simply the normal rise and fall of these types of cases. Now, as a part of a National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, Valley News Team's Neil Carlson shows us what's happening and what you need to know.
As part of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, this is the Clothesline Project at UND's Memorial Union. T-shirts tell the story of real victims of domestic violence, some who lived through it and some who did not.
How prevalent is domestic violence in our society, and is the rate of it any higher in our part of the country compared to the rest of the country?
Well, it's extremely prevalent, for one thing. Up to 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men will experience some form of violence in a relationship in their lifetime.
And for police officers, domestic violence calls are the most dangerous. Fargo officer Jason Mosier was shot and killed responding to one earlier this year.
Any type of domestic violence related call for service, they always have that heightened awareness. They're definitely dynamic calls and can lead to very dangerous situations.
Situations, the experts say, where all of us should be ready to lend support in order to keep the victims from becoming isolated.
Continuing that support and getting them information about places like CVIC in the community that can help them when they're ready is the best thing people can do.
Frisch says she's hoping that education will one day lead to prevention, but unfortunately the problem of domestic violence just seems to continue year after year. In Grand Forks, Neil Carlson, Valley News Live.
Tomorrow night, a Take Back the Night rally against domestic violence will be held at 7 o'clock at UND's Memorial Union. It would include a march down University Avenue. We also have a link to more information for help regarding domestic violence right here in the Valley. Just go to valleynewslive.com and click on this story. Cool and windy out there today. A decent day to maybe leave those windows open. Let's send it right over to meteorologist Robert Hahn for what we can expect this evening. Robert?
Well, we can continue with those windy conditions as we head through the next several hours. Those winds will slowly subside. Temperature-wise right now, 62 in Sisseton, your warm spot, 53 here in the Fargo-Moorhead area. Check out Langdon, 41 with a wind chill of 30 degrees. So some very cold air out there, and it feels even colder thanks in part to some gusty winds, at times gusting over 40 miles per hour. Right now, Thief River Falls seeing winds gusting to 45. Devil's Lake seeing 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts. We have had some cloud cover, particularly across the northern two-thirds of the valley. And underneath that, we have had some sprinkles, and would not be surprised in the colder areas like the Langdon area to see maybe a few pellets of sleet or maybe a few flakes of snow as we head through the evening and into tonight. Here in Fargo, we'll see temperatures slowly drop off, and those winds will slowly drop off as well. A chilly night tonight, a chilly time of it over the next few days, but we've got warmer weather in that 7-day forecast. We'll detail that in just a little bit.
Sounds good. Thanks, Robert. Meanwhile, Hurricane Matthew, the strongest Atlantic hurricane in nearly a decade, is inching closer to the United States after delivering a devastating blow to Haiti. The storm is already being blamed for 11 deaths in the Caribbean. Now it's taking aim at the Bahamas and the U.S. coastline from Florida to North Carolina. Florida's governor has ordered people to evacuate barrier islands and low-lying areas. In South Carolina, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic out of Charleston and also surrounding areas, and a rush on supplies and gasoline. More than 250,000 people in South Carolina have been told to leave immediately, with the rest of the state's coastline now on notice to evacuate tomorrow. The Standing Rock Sioux tribe is back in federal court today, fighting to stop construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline. A federal appeals court panel had some tough questions for opponents of the $3.8 billion oil pipeline. Samantha Jo Ropp was inside the courtroom today, and she has more details from Washington.
Well, Christine, attorneys representing the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe, the Justice Department, and Dakota Access all argued here today at the federal appeals court. The judges at times aggressive in their questioning, interrupting testimony, and appearing at times a bit confused. That's because attorneys representing the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe changed their arguments from the last time they appeared in court. It was a critical day in court for the Dakota Access Pipeline project. Attorneys representing the tribe are now altering their original argument after a federal court failed to issue an injunction last month.
When we filed this case originally in late July, we were asking the court to stop the pipeline altogether.
Now they just want to prevent further construction in a certain spot.
The only thing left from a perspective of protecting sacred sites and tribal burials is this very narrow area around Lake Oahe.
Today we just listened to the judges ask questions back and forth on whether or not we have a good argument.
Tribe Chairman Dave Archambault says he doesn't know how the judges will rule.
For the tribe, this wrong is right there in front of us. But when you have lawyers that pick apart and interpret and make things ambiguous, it's really hard to tell what the outcome is going to be.
Attorneys representing the Army Corps of Engineers argue that only 3% of the pipeline is within their jurisdiction, and they properly fulfilled all their duties when issuing permits to the company, something Senator John Hoeven agrees with.
The court indicated that the Corps of Engineers had done the necessary and appropriate work. The pipeline will go in the same corridor as an existing transmission line and gas line that's already there.
Now 5 labor unions are calling on the Obama administration to allow construction to continue, saying the weeks-long interruption has caused hardship for thousands of families. Now we reached out to the Justice Department, who are representing the Army Corps of Engineers. They have declined to comment. At this point, it's unclear when this decision is going to come out, but until this decision is made, the pipeline company is not allowed to continue construction on either side 20 miles of the Missouri River at Lake Oahe. Christine?
All right, Samantha Jo, the pipeline company is still waiting for an easement from the Army Corps of Engineers in order to continue construction under Lake Oahe. Did they clarify when they would make this decision?
Well, attorneys representing the Army Corps of Engineers did not indicate when that they would make this decision, but attorneys representing the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe believe, they told me that it could be weeks, not months. So, of course, we'll continue to keep you updated with the latest on this case. Sending it back to you, Christine.
All right, thanks so much, Samantha Jo. The 2016 North Dakota pheasant season opens up this Saturday, and hunters may have to work a little bit harder to find their birds this year. Doug Lear with North Dakota Game and Fish says numbers are down about 10 to 11% all across the state. So you may have to walk a little longer, but Lear also says it depends on where you hunt. For example, some areas of northwestern Minnesota are up 120% over the last year, even though statewide numbers and those in southeastern and southwestern North Dakota are slightly down.
It's going to be pretty similar to what we had last year. When you hear numbers are down 11%, I mean, it's like, okay, so last year you saw 100 birds, this year you see 90 birds. It's not going to be that dramatic.
The season runs through January 8th. The daily limit is 3 birds and possession limit is 12. You can hunt 30 minutes before sunrise to sunset daily. Young and old came out to 2 local coffee shops today for a free cup of coffee and to feel a part of one of their favorite TV shows, Gilmore Girls. The Red Raven and 20 Below turned into a pop-up Luke's Diner, a fictional coffee shop in the TV show. Red Raven employees say they had a long line out the door this morning, and by 10 a.m. they had almost served 250 cups of coffee. The employees wore hats that were apparently similar to characters in the show, and employees say the turnout today was much higher than usual mornings. Customers were also eager to snap pictures with the sign and, of course, be a part of this special day.
I'm a huge fan. I own all the seasons on DVD, watched them forever. I just saw that they were having Luke's and I had to be here. Like, whether I was here alone or with someone, I had to come experience it.
Netflix hosted the event in honor of the show's 16th anniversary. The show reboots in November. If you've got arts and crafts paint or finger paint at home, you'll want to be on the lookout for this brand because there's a recall that's still ahead tonight.
We've got some storms off to our east, some snow off to our west, in between some colder air settling into the valley. How long does it stick around? When do we warm up? We'll answer those questions coming up right after this.